My name is Jenny Braxton, and the Centered Living podcast is really to be inspiration and support and guidance for people who are really interested in living with pleasure as a priority, who are wanting to step into and embrace and embody their sexuality, and who really want to create their lives in a way that is in alignment, that is from a place of pleasure. And what's really beautiful is it's also, as I realized as I have gotten more into the podcast, it's really a place where we get to share our stories, right? And where we can really see how someone can come into pleasure, come into their sexuality, come into what I call pussy, and what that journey can look like and how that can shift our lives and just really enrich our lives in the many different ways that shows up for people. I first got involved because I actually met Erin many years ago. I was a support coach for another coach, and Erin was working for her as her OBM. And then I came upon a time when I was looking for some new support in my business, and I just remembered Erin, and I was so impressed with the way that she had shown up for that other coach that I was supporting, and just, yeah, just really impressed. And she left that imprint on me. And so she just came to mind, and I was like, oh, I wonder what Erin's up to, and reached out. And yeah, we started working together. And so my initial goal and desire was that I was about to launch my podcast, and I knew that I couldn't do all of the things on my own. And so I wanted team and I wanted support to help me with all the pieces of the podcast. Erin and her team help me in like all of the technical and logistical pieces outside of editing the podcast. So they do the show notes for me. They take the information that the guests give us and they create beautiful social media promos, and they, communicate with the guests if we need additional pictures or anything like that. They send out emails to our guests before the episodes go live so that they know that they're ready to share. They do all of the back end organizing for me. And they also, yes, they do the clips for social media. Basically, they do everything outside of editing the podcast. Everything needed to really like get the podcast, like polish it up, make everything look really pretty, and have it ready to share not only on the podcast sharing platform, but also in social media. I could not put out my podcast without IBA and Erin. Like it would be way, way, way too much for me. I would probably do a few episodes and not be able to continue on. So they really helped me present a very like polished and professional front with my podcast. And they just helped me do all the things. Like I literally couldn't do it without them. Erin and the team have been so great in taking parts of the podcast, juicy voiceover parts, and making really beautiful social media promos. They also do some really beautiful introductions for the show notes that I'm able to use as content sharing on social media. And then even if there's like an additional, like really juicy clip, they will take that out and give it to me as a bonus so that I can use it in other types of reels or other social media. They have helped me with all the technical and logistical pieces of really getting the podcast out there, from the beginning part of getting the platform set up and getting me official as a podcast, which those steps felt really overwhelming to me. And so they helped every single step of the way. They have helped with all of the back end organization, all of the creation of show notes, all of like getting it onto the podcast platform and getting it ready to share. So I do my own editing, but outside of that, they have done all of the other technical and logistical support for me, which has been just life-saving. It's been so helpful having Erin and the team to really support me in my consistency, because they hold me a little bit accountable. Like I have to get them the things by a certain time so all the stuff can go out, and it just really helps to have that structure and knowing that people are waiting for me to get the things to really help me with that consistency, really keep me going. It would have been really, really hard for me to keep up that consistency without them. Erin has been so incredibly helpful. I just love her insight and her ideas so much. She's just really helped me in understanding how we can expand the reach. She always has like amazing ideas that she brings. And it's just been really, really helpful for me to get that extra strategic support to be able to get the podcast out. I've been working with IBA since the beginning of my launch of the podcast. So they've been with me for the entire growth and expansion of the podcast. And Erin just keeps helping me with more ideas and more ways that we can continue that expansion and that reach. My experience with Erin and the team has been just A plus, 5 stars. Like they are just so amazing. They are so organized. They're so on top of it. I feel 100% trusting that like they are going to gather up all of the little pieces and they are going to make it happen. I never have to worry about them forgetting something or like double checking. Like I just feel fully held, like fully knowing that they are like they've got me and it's incredible. I absolutely love working with them and I just want to work with them more and more. I would 100% recommend IBA's podcast management service to others. They've been amazing and I just love them. I feel like the whole entire podcast is like a huge success together because since like
Mm,
literally we've been doing this podcast together from the beginning. And
mhm.
so, I mean, I absolutely know that my reach, the engagement, the number of people that the podcast is getting out to, it would be a fraction of what it would be if I was doing it on my own. Like literally, I could not do this on my own. And there's less than like a memorable moment that comes to me, but what really just feels like so memorable and so beautiful is I like they truly care. Like they truly care. They want my podcast to be listened to. They've been so supportive, so encouraging, and from like a truly authentic place. Like they love me and the podcast and they care about me succeeding. And I just feel that in every aspect of it. And it's just really beautiful. I truly feel like they are my team and that we are doing this together.